Here are my thoughts on Susan Wiles' comments to Vanity Fair reporter in this large expose feature that everyone has been talking about that was released yesterday on Tuesday, December 16th. First of all, the reason why it's causing a lot of attention is because the promo photos for the shoot include a really big close-up of the mouthpiece of Caroline Levitt, which reveals the injection marks from where she got her lip plumped. You see close-ups of Marco Rubio that just reveals age and sun and like rawness. Yeah, that's what a lot of folks are talking about. But I want to tell you before I discuss what I think what this interview really revealed and what we can learn from it and what does it mean for the world, the country, this government. I want to share that about 3 weeks ago, I did a video for my private communities called They Know. If you're not a member, join paid community on Substack, Patreon, TikTok, on YouTube, where I share these private insights that I don't share with the world. But in that private video, I said the fact that there are 4 categories of Trump supporters currently that are not bots, meaning that they're unpaid for. And but they all know, they're aware that the man is kind of buffoonery. He doesn't get much respect in the world, that he's inept, he's a know-nothing, he's falling apart, he's bumbling, he shows his cognitive decline, his mistakes, they know it all. But this is what happens with those 4 people. So the one category I'll call the greedy. Those are the folks who are interested in what he has to give them in terms of regulatory relief, tax relief, adjustment for the cryptocurrency rules and laws. And so they're just interested for the bottom line for their pocketbooks, and they're aware, and they really don't care what he does and destroys the country so long as that they can make off financially. So I call them the greedy. Then you have the racists. These are folks that are very much aware that Donald Trump has not improved their lives one bit since he got into office, but they're satisfied in seeing the brutality of the migrants and the immigrants and seeing people lose their jobs and contracts. Folks who, in their mind's eye, they grew up believing that because of their race, because of their gender, because of their long claim to the United States, that they're entitled to a certain way of life and quality of life and hierarchy and the socioeconomic strata, and that they see these other people benefiting, or the country doing things for these other people in allowing them to get a piece of the American pie. And they see the pie as a pie. So more rights for other people mean less rights for them, which is not the truth. But that's all. They know all he has for them is a policy of cruelty, and that's enough to feed them. So you have the racist. So you have the greedy, the racist, you have the culters, the folks who will shapeshift and adjust their morals, their ethics, their values to fit whatever Donald Trump does. And they will make excuses. There's nothing can be done for them. And finally, you have the grifted. Those are people who, for some reason, really did believe that Donald Trump was going to help them with their food prices. They really did believe what he was selling them, that he can help them somehow. And so those are the folks you see taking down the signs, actually talking to their neighbors, changing parties, voting for Democrats, not voting for the Republican candidate, actually going to the rallies, and they realize, oh, well, they're in the FAFO moment. A lot of those folks are realizing that I did not vote for that, and they're seeing Donald Trump's policies impact them, and they're realizing they made a mistake. That's the grifted. So those are 4 categories, but for the most part, all categories, no, they know what they see. And so that brings me back to Susan Wiles. Let me tell you a few things that she confirmed for us that we kind of already knew. Like, do these people know, or they're aware? And her answer in Susan Wiles' interview. And before I go to that, also, I'll let you know that I do believe she does not have media training. Someone left a comment on one of my posts recently, and I was saying, why don't they do something about like shooting, for example? And the person said they're not going to govern because there are consultants and they're media personalities, and they either don't know how to govern or that they don't want to, they're not interested in. And that was clear because Susan Wiles falls in the consulting category. The media personalities have media training. They're aware, they're all in it. They know what Donald Trump has for them, and they are willing to sacrifice whatever they need to sacrifice because they're ambitious. And they thought they were going to ride this train into something else in their lives. And so they're willing to smile and grift and say what they need to say and toe the line. Where Susan Wiles is a consultant. I think we know that she's a lobbyist. So her job is to advise and be truthful and be candid and use her, down to earthness and relate to people and to speak with people and to look as honest and be as honest to people and frank with people. And so she was like that with the reporter, not knowing that things were on the record. I think she may not have media training, and she treated this reporter as if she was treating perhaps someone she was trying to sway on behalf of a lobby client. And that's not the case. And then there may have been things that were left on the record, and she never clarified it was off the record. So not necessarily she was bamboozled, but she doesn't have media training. And but she said these things. And what she said and what she confirmed is very important. Let me tell you the 4 things that she confirmed that was eye-opening, illuminating, things we already knew, but it's still valuable. And I'll tell you why, to know that she knows. They know. Okay, one, she confirms that we already know that Donald Trump is motivated by grievances and getting personal vendettas. That is what moves him, and his policy is just based on that. Vindictiveness and cruelty, that's it. So she acknowledges that. 2, she also confirms what we already said, that the retribution tour that he's on has lasted too long. That she was like, okay, you want to get back at folks, but let's wrap this up within, 60, 90 days. And you are 10 months into it, and he's still trying. And she said this is a dud. If you continue to do this, this does not look good. So she's smart enough to tell him that. But the 3rd thing that she confirms is that she cannot control him. And we already said that. When she came into the position and people were touting her as the person who's going to be able to control the circus, I and others, and I have said this in videos, my receipts, I said, she's not going to control shit. She can't. She thinks she can, but she cannot, because that man does whatever he wants. He's stubborn. He doesn't listen. He thinks the smartest person in the room. And then he has brought with him, rather than seasoned principal person who she could probably work with, who are also reasonable, who also see the damage, and she can have an honest communication with. Instead, she has a bunch of sycophants that are all just jockeying for position of power, who shapeshift. And that's what she said essentially about J.D. Vance, that he's a conspiracy theorist, that he's like, he believes all sorts of stuff. And we know that at one point he was anti-Trump, and all of a sudden he's for Trump, and he has no convictions. And he can go down those rabbit holes of conspiracy theories, and so he's so easily swayed. She said that Elon Musk is a drug addict. We already knew that he, is on ketamine. We knew that, but it's like, thanks for the confirmation. But for the most part, confirming that that he is surrounded by sycophants, a loose conglomeration of different factions, the Project 2025 folks, the Techno Bros, the Curtis Yarvin disciples, that all have different, not necessarily aligned motivations for where they want the country to go and how they think Donald Trump should govern and rule this term. And then she confirms that the tariff policy was a mess and it's not going to work, and it's a hot mess. And the immigration policy, the cruelty behind it. She said, you're supposed to be going after the criminals. We see you tackling the children, trying to deport babies and moms, the people who've been here a long time, long-lasting community members. And we see all the people rallying around their community and be like, this is not what I signed up for. I do not mind you taking away criminals, aliens or criminals, people out of the country, but I don't think it's necessary to prioritize these innocent people who are kind of like doing nothing. And again, I always tell you, the United States immigration laws are civil infractions, not criminal. The only criminal aspect, there are some criminal aspects, you leave and come back, yes, or you commit an actual criminal crime and then you get removed. But for the most part, just being in the country without authorization, the punishment is detained briefly and then you deported. But if you've been here 2 years and you have an active asylum claim or active refugee status, or you have a temporary protective status, or you are in the middle of adjusting status and you have a documentation and you're going through the process and you're checking in, you should not be picked up and deported and denied access to your due process rights to see a lawyer and attorney. And that's what they've been doing. And she was like, no. So the end of it all is they have no plausible deniability to stay. Like we see Marjorie Taylor Greene try to massage her way into it and say that I was fooled, that I was grifted, I'm a victim too. No, they know. They know, she knows. They all know what he's about. They all signed up for it. They do not get to come back to polite society when his term is over, and there will be. They continue to be ostracized forever because they continue to dismantle the United States government and the representative democracy as we know it. And they did it for their selfish reasons, or they did it because they did not care. And because we know, Susan Wiles confirmed they know, That's the end of it. That's the end. That's the benefit of that video. Let's discuss before this video, the article. Let's discuss below. What do you think? What are your thoughts on that? JJ Legal, each one teach one. Go to JJ Legal for a Trump survival guide.